Welcome to The Road Reflected with Nicole Wakelin. Automotive from the lighter side. That means cars, but also cookies, coffee, and pie. Up first, what's Nicole behind the wheel of this week?
Okay, guys, so we're just getting back from vacation. So we missed a week. Hi, everyone.
We did. We're back.
So we're back. What I am actually driving, I drove while we were in Europe. We got a rental car.
France.
It just offended an entire nation.
No, it's just how I pronounce it. It's France.
Okay, you can say it that way.
It sounds more sophisticated.
Does it?
I think so.
Okay, if you say so. So what we rented, you gave me some options. And when you rent a car, it's not always, I will take exactly this car. Very often you say, I will take this or something similar.
Yeah, it's always like Volvo or something similar.
Right, EX30 or something similar,
Exactly.
Miata or something. You could get anything, right?
Right.
You just know you're going to get something that's a small sporty car or a big SUV, but you don't always know what you're going to get.
Yep.
So what you had picked, because I said, oh, do that, and hopefully I'll get one, was the Lynk Company 01, or I guess they just call it the Lynk Company 1.
Lynk Co.
Lynk Co. And I thought, we're never going to get that. Guess what? That's
got
exactly
one.
what we got.
Which was cool because I've never heard of this thing.
He didn't even know what
I
this
didn't even know
company
this brand
was.
existed in the world.
Right? So the reason, and many of you probably don't know that it exists either, is because it's available in China, Europe, and the Middle East. We are not any of those places.
No, so if you're a U.S. resident, you would probably never seen this thing.
Right. But they are owned by the same company. I always thought it was Geely. I don't know if I'm saying it. Geely. They're a Chinese company. They also own Volvo. So if you're in Europe, this is an alternative to Volvo that is a slightly more affordable option. Okay. Which doesn't mean that it's junky. Like, it's a nice car.
It didn't feel junky at all.
Right?
It felt nice. Yeah.
So in terms of styling, it actually has really attractive styling. I would call this a crossover. It's not really an SUV, not quite big enough. Although it was funny when we were in France and we were getting directions from the concierge about where we were going, and he was saying, "Oh, you can park here, here, and here." And he said, "Your car's a little big, though, so don't park." And I'm like, "It's a little big,"
and it's not a big car.
It's not
by American standards.
No, and I thought,
but by European standards, which are all like little hot hatchback sort of situation,
right? So
this is longer, more. I know it's a crossover, but it feels more station wagon-y kind of vibe.
I didn't think it felt station wagon-y at all.
Okay.
It's not that long. It wasn't long. It was short.
Okay.
People, it's not a station wagon. It's a crossover. Don't listen to him. He's wrong. It's definitely not a wagon.
All right.
It's more like a crossover. So anyway, but it's small. I mean, we fit 2 large bags, like suitcases in the back. Yeah. And there was still room, like, maybe you could have definitely put some like tote bags and stuff on top. So it held all the luggage, no problem.
Yep.
Has ample seating in the back, and this front seats are really comfy. On the outside, I loved how ours looked. It was black.
It was a cool looking
and
vehicle.
There's this sort of a vibrant blue trim, and you find it in the wheel wells.
Yeah,
in the wheels.
Yeah.
There's like little. They're all sort of silvery, but then there's a couple that are this blue, painted with this blue. The same blue trim goes along the roof line, like it's just like all the way down the roof line, and it's even again on the very front, sort of by the lights. It goes across.
Yes. Yep.
So it's an attractive little car.
Yeah.
Which to see it in person, I've literally never seen one in person before, so it was nice. But then we got in, we drove it. Really nice to drive. It has 261 horsepower, and it's a PHEV. It's a plug-in hybrid, so it gets equivalent roughly about 46 miles of range, which I think they say 75 kilometers. So if my conversion is wrong, but I'm pretty sure it'd be about 46 miles. It was a really nice car. I really enjoyed driving it. It was perfectly peppy.
I love the interior. It was very nice.
Right? The interior, it's all fabric, but they again have that bright blue. You have that accent on the seats, on the backs of the front seats, and in the trim and stuff. So it's an attractive car. It really looks really good. So I loved how it looked. I liked how it drove. And when you're driving in Europe, especially if you're not used to it, which I don't drive in Europe that often, the roads that are narrow, they give a whole new meaning to narrow.
Yeah, if you're an American, you've never driven in Europe, you don't know the definition of a narrow road.
You do not, because the things we would say like one way only, they look at it and go, no,
it's two way.
It's totally two. Maybe we'll put a lane in the middle. Who knows? Like there's definitely, so things get very tight. So you need a car. I don't really want to drive a big SUV over there or a big vehicle. This is about as big as I would want to drive in Europe, just because the roads are too tight and the parking garages are tight. Even trying to find parking, the twisty part where you're going up a level or down a level.
It's tight.
It is so tight. And you can just see a history of scratched car marks along those.
Everything is smaller.
Yeah.
It's just everything's smaller.
Everything is smaller. So the one really cool thing about this is a PHEV. We weren't necessarily planning on plugging it in to charge it.
No.
But we were trying to find parking at one place. Was it, I'm going to say it wrong, Aix-en-Provence? Was it
yes,
there?
but I was actually, no, it was the smaller town that we went north to visit. I forget the name of it now.
Near Aix-en-Provence,
Yes,
which I'm
yes.
sure I'm mangling, and if you're French, you
look
can
the name
roll
of the
your
town up,
eyes.
so I'll know it for later.
So it was, excuse me, so we were going there for like an outdoor market that's a huge market with clothing and food and all sorts of stuff, and trying to find parking, and we found this little parking lot, a small parking lot. It was full except for the 4 spots that were by the EV chargers.
Yes.
And we said, well, hey, we can plug in here. We can charge. So and now again, even parking lots, everything is at a premium space-wise.
This was Le Marin. Or Le Marine.
How do you spell it?
The circled one with a little L.
Oh, Le Marin, maybe?
There you go. See, I think Le Marin. I think I got it the first time.
So we went there.
It was a big market day.
Right.
So because it was a market day, parking was scarce.
Right. So we find this parking. I wedged myself into the parking space, and Russ has directed me into this parking space. Yeah, your charging is on this side. And I'm like, okay. And I
And literally in this lot, the only spots are charging spots.
Yeah. And
so
what happens once you've had me do an 8,000 point turn to get into the parking
if we
space?
back in, because the only port you can see on the car is on the passenger side rear quarter panel, like where the gas cap normally is on many cars. So I'm like, well, that must be it. So I directed her, and of course, because it's very narrow, Nicole has to do this like 50-point K-turn situation. She gets in. I'm like, great, this is perfect. And I popped the little cap open. First, we figure out how to unlock it. And then I realized, oh no, that's just the gas cap.
He has had me do this 9,000 point turn to get into the wrong position.
So I'm like, well, maybe it's one of those ones where there's like a port in the middle under the license plate or something. Nope, not in the back.
We're looking
And then I'm like, maybe it's on
everywhere.
the other side, just more cleverly hidden. Nope. Maybe it's in the front grille somehow. Nope. And we're like, there's no, but there's definitely a cable, because in Europe, the cables aren't hanging on the chargers, right? You have to go into your trunk to get the cable, and you plug one into the charger.
Every place we saw was like that.
Yeah.
The charger wasn't on.
One goes
it was
into the
always
charger, one goes
provided
into your car. So you're bringing your own cable, and the cable's in the trunk. So we know, well, if there's a cable, this car definitely is
somewhere
a PHEV.
there's a port. So I start looking for it, and I'm pulling on things that look like, and there's this little piece by the fender that says Lynk Co, and it looks like it could be a door, and there's one on each side. But I pull, and nothing happens. And I pull on the other side, and nothing happens. And I'm pulling, and I'm thinking, I'm going to pull this off, and suddenly I'm going to have a $5,000 rental bill because I pulled off a piece of trim.
Off the trim.
Right? And I'm looking, I can't find it. We can't find it. We're laughing. I look at my phone. I find somebody show me how to charge this car.
Right.
And I'm waiting on the world's slowest connection. So it's cycling through like 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 8 seconds, waiting. And it is the little piece that says Lynk Co. You have to pull that. I pulled it enough that
Isn't there a button supposedly somewhere we couldn't find?
There is not. There's no manual release that I could find. It almost looked like it was trim specific maybe, but mine did not have it. So I'm trying to I pull it open, and it's like I practically break a nail trying to pull the parking port door, which also, because it's on the front of the fender, not on the back, I now have to
it's the driver's side front quarter panel. Yeah. So now, and our cable was long, but not that long. So now Nicole's got to do another 50-point turnaround to bring it back.
What, like 20 minutes later?
And then while you're doing that, I'm trying to figure out, it's on this pole, there's 4 different little mini charger devices that you plug your cable into. And I'm trying to first find the appropriate app to activate the charging thing. And then I figure out, oh my gosh, it uses ChargePoint, which is great because I have ChargePoint myself because I have a PHEV Jeep. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I will use ChargePoint. I have that account already. And then ChargePoint, though, just identifies the fact that there's a post in this parking lot, and it would be happy to activate it for you. But it does not tell me which of the 4 ones are the right ones. So Nicole's doing this other big turnaround, and I'm like, and I can hear when I hit the activate, there's a click. And one of these things is activated, but it can't. So I'm like listening carefully, watching. And then I notice one of the lights starts to blink, and I realize it's the other side. So I'm like, wait, Nicole, don't wait. You got to spin around again because you got to be on this side. But then she gets it, and we finally figured it out.
I was kind of ready to kill him. It's a testament to our marriage that I did not walk away. But I still felt
really cool because we had this PHEV that allowed us to park in this really good parking spot, very close to the town center. That we went up it. Of course, it took us 30 minutes to figure things out. But
we did it.
Right.
We did it. All
savvy.
that matters is that we actually did it.
30 minutes later, I felt savvy.
Right. And we plugged it and we charged. We had enough that we got enough of a charge that got us back to our hotel that last. And you said it was what, like $2 or $3 is what we paid?
It cost the total charge bill was, and we were there for like 3 hours or 2.5 hours.
At least 3 hours.
The total charge bill was $3.80.
Yeah. So it would have been cheaper than, because gas is stupid expensive in
Europe.
Europe.
It was really affordable. pretty affordable charging rate compared to like a Boston or something.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty good.
And it was funny to me that and I was trying to decide, there were a couple of EVs in that parking lot that weren't using it. And I thought maybe they just didn't need a charger. I guess if you could plug in at home.
Space and they want to pay for it.
Well, if it's cheaper at home, they're just figuring why bother. So there were EVs there, full on EVs, not even hybrids. I saw half a dozen or so EVs in this rather small lot. Right. Just none of them were choosing to charge, but we chose to charge. And even though it took us almost a half an hour to figure this out.
And I think several spots opened and filled up while we were doing it.
Yes,
so we could have just been waiting for the spot.
But then it became like, it's a matter of honor. I will figure this out.
By gosh, we're going to figure this out.
We are going to get this vehicle charged if it takes us the entirety of the afternoon.
I mean, I got this PHEV. We're going to figure it out.
We're going to figure it out.
Yeah, we never need it again. But we did figure it out once.
And that's all that matters. We did it. We charged a PHEV.
Now, one other thing, I want to plug up one thing in this car, though, because the other thing that's challenging when you're overseas adventuring somewhere is you really need to navigate. And, what was great was the screen on the inside when Apple CarPlay was turned on, which it worked fine. It looked great. It was a nice big screen. The map went fully to the end. Some of the versions of CarPlay
it's a 12.7-inch infotainment screen.
It made navigation very easy, especially when you're trying to count all your exits in the roundabouts.
Yes, roundabouts. I was corrected by my boss, who is British, when I called it a rotary. He's we don't call them rotaries. Roundabout?
But yeah.
I also called Covent Gardens, and he's like, it's garden, love. I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yes. But yeah, so those who have been to Europe, once you go there, you'll find out that the Europeans never do four-way stops. They also try to avoid traffic lights. Everything is a rotary.
Everything is a rotary.
We call a rotary. Yeah, everything's a rotary.
Yeah, and which I don't have a problem with.
It does feel more efficient.
Yes.
It does feel very efficient. It's just when you're navigating, it's not like take a right, take a left. It's like, okay, you're coming on a rotary, you're going to exit at 2 o'clock. Oh, now you're going to exit at 9 o'clock.
What's the funniest thing is
now you're going to exit at 11:30.
So most people will do like 9, 12.
Oh, no, I'm down. Right? I'm very precise
or
when it comes to roundabouts.
Even, the second exit from the rotary. Russ is like, you're going to exit at 11:24. I'm like, what the heck is 11:24?
Well, you can't count the exits very easily because sometimes there's double roads.
But you can figure out where 11:24 is easily.
I got the clock down. Yeah, the clock thing is great. Plus, it feels like you're a World War II fighter pilot, so it's even cooler.
Okay, if that's what makes you happy. Okay, everyone, if you like what you're hearing, then go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe either on YouTube or your favorite podcatcher.
And don't forget to leave us positive reviews on iTunes.
Okay, so in our European adventure, in the Lynk 1, I still don't know whether it's 1 or 01 because I never see an ad for it and I never talked to the people.
Yeah, right.
It says 01 on the car.
Lynk Co 01. I don't know. It doesn't really
right?
work.
Is it Lynk Co 1? Lynk Co? I don't know. I need somebody. I need to listen to an advertisement.
It's also a long name like Lynk Co. You don't like. Are they trying to subtly get you to say Lincoln?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't either.
I don't think you would. I don't
know. No, but
it's
just sound. It's just a weird. It's just a. Anyway,
it was a choice. Yeah. I didn't have anything to do with that, or the name of the car, calling it the 01 or
someone
1.
made a choice, and this is what we have.
Yes. So you made a choice, and your choice was that on our way from where we were driving from, we were in Marseille.
Yes.
And we got a rental car, this rental in Marseille,
yes,
to take us to the place that we were staying for a few days in Provence.
Yes.
And so it wasn't a super long drive, but there were very many ways you could get there.
It could have been a short drive, but I decided it needed to be longer.
Yes, because he found an amazing road, because the roads are fun. You get twisty turnies and the views sometimes.
Yes, and because Nicole is an automotive journalist and enjoys driving, whenever we're in a foreign land, I always look for some kind of cool, obscure driving experience road. And so this one was up there. It was pretty cool. It is a road that goes from Marseille, and it actually
goes far further than what we drove.
So there's this road called the D559. It's like a route. It's like the route number in France.
Yeah.
And it goes from Marseille along much of the Riviera, actually.
I think you can go pretty much.
Yeah, but this segment of it, it's really cool. It goes from Marseille to a town called Cassis, right down there. And between Marseille and Cassis is just mountains.
It's beautiful.
And so you're basically driving along this little, very narrow mountain road with, the most minimal form of guardrail.
Half the time there isn't a guardrail.
Right.
I feel like Europe is guardrail
straight down,
averse.
but you're overlooking like the sun rising over the French Riviera ocean situation.
It's so pretty. It was the prettiest drive. We actually pulled over. They have little pullouts where you can, But here's the fun thing. So pullouts in the U.S. tend to be on any kind of twisty road or even on a highway. They tend to be a parking lot.
Right.
It's just you can pull off. And a lot of times on very twisty, turny roads, like there's a bunch of these heading out to Palm Springs in California. Right. It's a really nice route. If you want to do a pull off, it's just pull off.
Right.
It's just pavement that bumps out from the road, pull off, look over the thing, take your picture, move along.
Right.
In Europe, they put trees on them.
Yeah, for some reason
I don't mean like at the entrance or the side.
No.
They're dotted all around it.
Yeah, they're not planted in any way that seems planned.
No.
So it's not like it's almost intentionally designed to minimize your ability to pull in at any angle.
Yeah.
Or park as many cars as possible.
So you kind of feel like you pull in, and we were trying to take a picture.
But it's not efficient.
And it's so funny. I'm like, wait, I wanted the picture there. Okay, wait, I'm going to wedge myself between and literally I'm like, going between trees.
Yeah,
so that I can get near
photos.
the wall where there's this pretty like stone or brick wall. I guess it was stone wall that overlooked. I'm like, I want to picture the car.
Trying to get the car like overlooking the ocean kind of thing. And there's these trees in the way. So it was really interesting how they do that.
It was a really nice drive though. I love finding twisty roads like that. So the other
all the hairpin turns, the switchbacks.
Yeah. It's fun unless there's like a big truck coming to you. You come around a turn and you look at the truck and you know the truck is far over as he can get and you think, but yet you're still in my lane too.
Yes. And our tour buses are the scariest thing.
Buses. So the scariest thing I ever saw with tour buses was when we were in Norway and there was a highway called Trollstigen.
Oh yes, the Trollstigen.
And I'd like to think
cool.
This was some weird nickname or me misprint. No, it literally is.
It means the way of the trolls. Yeah.
And you get to that when you start on the Trollstigen, there is a little touristy little tchotchke shop that actually has a troll on the roof and sells really good ice cream. Fun fact.
Yes,
really good ice cream. Yeah. But you go up the Trollstigen and it is just straight switchback.
And it's one of those switchbacks up a mountainside with waterfalls.
It's gorgeous.
It is. If you're ever in Norway and someone says, "Hey, there's this road not too far from here called the Trollstigen," just drive it.
It's amazing. It is one of the most amazing roads. And I really had a fun time driving it.
Right.
I think we had a BMW on that trip and a little Euro spec BMW. Get all the way to the top and in a nice tiny car. It's great. But there are parts where even if someone's driving a larger SUV-ish type thing, you have to wait for them to make the turn before you can to come around the hairpin.
Yes.
And the buses, they take full-on buses up there. I don't know if you've ever watched buses navigating if you're riding on a bus in a city.
It's scary.
And you always think they're going to take out the corner of a building. Here, if they miss something, they're going down a mountain.
Yeah.
And you have to you'll see people back up. You're like way back. It's like, okay, let's wait.
And we watched. We got to the top and just looked down and watched these buses try to navigate this thing.
Amazing. I don't know how they do it.
It was crazy.
Yeah, bus drivers in Europe are their own special breed, and I have no idea how they manage to get cars up there. But when you get to the top, you're rewarded with just a beautiful view, and there's water that you can see, and it was gorgeous.
Yeah, the D559 had similar views, but not quite as scary. It wasn't
not quite as scary. It didn't. Yeah, it was not. The hairpins were not quite as tight.
Just one half from Marseille, you're kind of going up, and then somewhere you're in the top of the mountains, and then you come down to Cassis, and it's all.
But
down.
It is beautiful scenery. I mean, really pull off into one of these tree-lined road stops here. Sit for a second, drink your fancy cappuccino. Right. Which, by the way, we found the cappuccino thing with the hot chocolate or with the cocoa powder on top.
Yeah, it seems like cocoa powder is pretty.
And it's weird,
normal,
you know what?
At least in France.
It's not hot chocolate powder. It's like cocoa powder, but it tastes ever so slightly sweetened. But I'm not going to call it hot chocolate.
Not super sweet.
No, just like,
but not
and they just
pure
go
cocoa powder.
Little splash, like over the top.
It's somewhere between Hershey's chocolate milk mix and pure cocoa powder.
Yeah, so it's not as sweet as it. But that's a Europe thing. They tend to do things not quite as sweet.
Yes,
I feel like we are sugar heavy.
I don't know how we got there from the road, but yes, cocoa powder and the road,
you can
and
sit
cappuccino.
and drink your coffee as you're looking at
I would definitely recommend a
the
nice
beautiful
beverage.
road. We did sit for a few minutes and just took in the view.
And it's not a super long road, so it only added.
You can for us because I looked it up and it goes far longer.
Forever.
You can do days on this road if you want to. It's kind of like you know how Route 66 takes you all over the U.S., but you can do little segments. Yeah. So if it's on a segment that you can drive it, it's going to take you longer than whatever the alternative road is. Yeah. Totally worth it because it was a beautiful, beautiful drive. Hey, wait, did we just drive by a bakery? Okay, there's so many amazing baked goods in Europe. It's hard to just be picking.
Europe is the master of the bakery on every corner.
Right.
Because you have cafes on every corner, but these cafes have, in addition to coffee, of course, and it's always a cappuccino or something of that nature.
With a cocoa.
Yes, but also they always have baked goods.
And we went to a couple of places that in addition to just straight up baked goods, they have shops that are very specialized. Like they have this nougat, which isn't so much my thing, which is it's a nougat, and sometimes it has nuts or fruit.
Yeah,
or
Provence
whatever.
is big into nougat.
Really into nougat, which I'm not a huge fan of that.
Right.
It looks impressive though, because imagine in your head a wheel of cheese, the giant wheel of cheese that you don't actually buy the wheel of cheese because like if you put your arms and made a circle, it's that big. They have giant things of this nougat on display and it is super impressive. And they almost always will give you a little sample if you want to try it.
I enjoyed the nougat, but if you forced me to eat one of the two most common French treats that we saw everywhere,
Well, in that
meringue.
area.
Meringue would be.
Yeah, Europe is like hot to trot for meringues.
France in particular, in the meringue thing, and they have, and this Provence had it too, is giant meringues, but it just like melts in your mouth.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I would do the
meringue. It's kind of like thicker cotton candy,
kind of, because it does kind of melt the way cotton candy just sort of melts in your mouth.
Yeah.
So they had something in Provence that was kind of neat, and I hope I'm saying it right. Calissons, Calisons.
I cannot do better than that.
And they're like, imagine little sort of like almond shaped.
Yes.
They're little almonds. And they're generally like 2 bites, right? Maybe 2 bites. They're the kind of thing you'd see in a box of chocolate and you'd take one and take 2 bites out of it. And that would be your treat. And they're supposed to be, they look like an almond, but they're also supposed to be like a boat because there's a history about invasions and saving people.
Yeah, it's supposed to have some reference to a symbol of their area. Yeah.
So they look like little boats.
They're like diamond
very
shaped.
cute.
Yeah.
And but they're not pointy. They're round. They're more almondy and boaty because they don't have points on the sides. They only have points at the ends.
Yes. Okay.
So they have these treats, and what they are is it's sort of like 3 different layers, but it really looks like 2 because the top is a very thin layer of a white icing that's sort of I call it vanilla, but it's not strongly vanilla.
And when I eat it, it gave me a meringue vibe. I don't think it is meringue, but it had that feeling
meringue.
of meringue.
Or do you mean marzipan? It gave me a marzipan vibe.
The middle gave me the marzipan
Yeah,
vibe. The top white layer gave me the meringue vibe.
Yeah?
It was almost like you took a thin layer of meringue and you stuck it on top of marzipan.
Okay.
Which I enjoyed.
So what's underneath it, there is a layer of what it'll say is candied fruit, but it's almost like a gel. So it's like, think of a gel candy. It's not like a fruitcake. You can't see bits of anything.
No.
You have to really look at it to realize there's a layer. And then there's also a little layer of ground almonds. Again, ground so fine that it almost looks like it should be like a pastry or like, a layer of crumb pastry or something on there. But they're not very tall. They're again, think like a box of chocolates, a chocolate you would get 2 bites out of. And I wasn't sure how, I thought, I don't know, those look really, really super sweet with the gel in there and the almond and the icing on top. They're delicious.
They were very good.
They're the kind of thing you try one and you think, I'm just going to have one of these. And then you look down on the boxes.
Like, I'm good. And then 2 and then 3. And they had different flavors.
They do. So the classic,
the
classic is just the almond, the candied fruit, which I don't know. It looked like it was like a lemon or something, but it doesn't have a lemony flavor. Very mild candied fruit. And then the icing. But they do different flavors. You can get a bag of them where the white icing, instead of being white, is say pink or purple or green. And it could be, we got a couple of bags to take back. And one of them was flat. Like there was a lavender, there was a rose, there was hibiscus.
Lavender's big in Provence.
Lavender is big there too. Yeah. So you have fruit flavors, and then we got one that she said it was spicy. It took me a minute. I'm like, what jalapeno? But she just meant like spices.
Yep.
There was this cinnamon and different spiced flavorful.
Yeah,
ones.
It wasn't like what you think of like
not
Spanish
spicy
or Mexican
hot,
spice.
spicy just flavors of spices.
Just flavorful, like cinnamon and nutmeg and all that.
Yeah, and those are really good. They're the cutest little things, and they normally are small, but we saw some. You can apparently buy them. Like it was the size of a cake. Remember the couple that we saw that were absolutely
and they had
huge.
so much in these stores. Like they had stores dedicated to pretty much just this sort of treat. So they clearly do high volume.
They do, and everybody knows about them, and everybody tries them. And I guess they're specifically a Provence favorite. And I thought they were such a fun treat. So we brought home a regular one, the flour one, and the spicy one.
Spices.
So that we're going to share with our friends at home.
Yeah, we thought we'd make little mixed bags for everybody.
Yeah, and then we bought a thing of the nougat, just the classic nougat.
Just because why would you not?
Yeah.
And they put everything in the nougat. Like pick a thing, they stuff it in the nougat.
Right, because the classic is just nougat with, I think it's almonds normally is what we saw the most. But then you have different kinds of nuts in there. Like, you have fruit.
It's like us with fudge. Imagine what you could stick in fudge and you stick it in the nougat.
Like all the different flavors of fudge, do that. But
marshmallow, various nuts, other kinds of
chocolate, you pick a thing.
And they look so pretty when they had them on. They had the giant ones, which you kind of would just buy like a giant slice.
And they're
like
huge.
Slab.
Yeah, they're like giant. Again, like us with fudge. Just this giant thing and they'll cut off whatever
and you would
want.
buy a slab of it, but or you can buy like tiny ones. They sometimes have them tiny, like a selection in a box. Yeah. But the big ones are so pretty because if it's, say, there was one that had an orange flavor to it, and there were dried oranges all over the top, arranged all pretty, and little pieces of, like, it was really neat.
Really good.
They're the prettiest. Like, I really wanted the one with all the pretty, but I thought, okay.
They were works of art in addition to treats.
But also, I don't need, what was that, like 45 pounds of nougat to put on my table as a display?
Yeah.
There was no way you could buy them that big.
I don't know how the French have just a better health profile than us with all these sugars.
Because they eat tiny little bites of them.
I know, but they're making like these huge blocks of it. Where does it all go?
I feel like in the U.S., we would buy the block. And we'd all sit and eat that.
We would, but they're selling it to somebody.
But there, they buy a slab. And the slab lasts for a while, and it's a treat that they have.
Okay.
I think it's all that. And so it was amazing. So those were kind of cool treats. I like that they were neat treats. And again, not as sweet as what we have. We tend to do a lot of sugar here. Things are very, very sweet. Because they aren't quite as sweet, you sort of enjoy it more because you don't immediately feel like you're getting cavities. Right. You don't feel that. You don't eat something really sugary and you can almost feel it coat your teeth.
Yeah, you don't
get that with candy in Europe.
No.
And I'm like, you're eating nougat. You ate nougat in the U.S. and you'd be like, let me just call my dentist.
You'd be chewing for 20 minutes first.
Right. And you would immediately have a cavity.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen there because things aren't quite as sweet. So it was fun. So we had the nougat and the calissons that we are enjoying, and our lucky friends will enjoy them soon too.
Thanks for listening to The Road Reflected. To follow more of Nicole Wakeland's adventures, head on over to NicoleWakeland.com. There you'll find links to her social media from TikTok to Twitter, as well as her work across a wide range of media outlets. Until next time, keep it shiny side up.